everybody. Welcome back. My name is Jay Gordon, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Hi everyone, I'm Saji here. Hi Jay, great to be here with you again today.
ICG. It's always great to work with you, and it's always great actually to have a chance to talk with our developer community. We're not going to do a big preamble. We're going to just kind of get right into it. If you've been watching this series before, you'll know that it's part of the modern AI apps with Azure Cosmos DB. This week, we're going to do let the agent write it, but can it scale? We've gone over a few concepts already in this series. You can watch the previous 2 episodes if you want. Saji, I know that, like I said, we're going to jump right into it. So let's get started, okay?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, let's see what we are going to build today and how we can scale using agent.
Absolutely. Okay. So if you're in the chat, please let us know if you need to see a little bit better. We appreciate it. And also let us know where you're watching from. We always love to see where our developers are coming from, ask questions, all that. So like I said, we're going to jump right into it. So I want to send you all a repo right now, and you can either follow along or do this at another point. Saji, so I've been working on this app. And one of the things that I really like is sometimes making things that are going to break and making decisions that intentionally so I can show people how to fix them. And this was one of those occasions. I know you and I have been talking about the agent kit a lot. And today we're going to use it in a way that's a little bit different than we were using it before. We're going to kind of use it more like a troubleshooting tool. Sound good?
Yep.
Great.
Let's go ahead.
Cool. So let's take a look at what we're going to be working with today. We're going to be using an app that I created called Ticket API. This is kind of just some getting started stuff here. You're going to be able to find some documentation with prompts that we're going to be using. We're going to find 2 pieces of apps that or I should say 2 small apps that are going to, one, create a load and tell us how much we're using as far as RU is concerned, so we can kind of test what our scale will be like. And then we've got this other app right here. It's a seeder. And all it really does is seed our Azure Cosmos DB database. So the big thing here, Saji, is we want to scale. Why don't you give our wonderful audience one of the real big benefits of making decisions early when it comes to scale as opposed to later? You got me, Saji?
Yeah, there was some break, but can you repeat the question?
Sure. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about scale, and a lot of times people make mistakes early on when it comes to scaling and their design of either their queries, their actual database. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And while I kind of bring up some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when you're working with Cosmos DB, there are certain decisions that you need to take beforehand. I think we covered on this topic in the last episode as well. One is the data modeling and the partition key choice, right? So that determines the cost of your application, whether you are doing the right data modeling by choosing the right partition key. So that would be the lens one in terms of choosing the right data model. And the second part is RU efficiency. So every request consumes RUs, right? So latency alone doesn't reveal the query cost, but it's more about what queries you are writing, what operations you are doing within the application, and how do you capture the diagnostics in order to improve the request units when you're working with Cosmos DB. And the third concept, which is very critical in database application, which is the indexing. So Cosmos DB indexes every property by default, but you need to configure indexes based on write operations, or like if you're doing queries based on sorting and filtering. So you need to be aware about what queries you are doing within the application, as I mentioned earlier. And then, yeah, when you're writing application, the language that you choose, the SDK that you choose within Cosmos DB, because Cosmos DB supports across all languages. So you need to make sure that you are using the right SDK with right best practices, and you need to ensure it is production ready. So that is kind of the lens for, and the concurrency and inventory. So when you're talking about distributed database, right? So you need to design in a way such that application users can access data concurrently. So you need to make sure that all these concepts are in place. So that's what we are going to talk about today. Very excited, Jay.
Yeah, it's a great subject, and it's important because incorrect design will cost you a lot in just RU, which will equate to money, and we all want to save money. So that's kind of one of the parts here, is that this application is specifically set up to be expensive, to be not that really efficient, and we're going to fix that. So really what we're doing first is we're going to go through prerequisite. And we're not going to actually do the prerequisite because it's a little time consuming. And I wanted to make sure we can jump in and really take a look at what we're doing. And so what we've done first is I've given you a prompt. And this prompt is going to act as your prerequisite for actually creating a Cosmos DB instance. Along with that, you're also able to configure all of your RBAC so that we don't have to use any passwords, keys, or anything. We're actually intentionally disabling keys. So you can see right here, it's going to create a usable subscription scope. We're not going to configure manual autoscale. We're not going to store keys, tokens, or anything like that. We've got what gets created is app settings. And from an example, we need to be able to specify this information. And then we're basically going to really focus here on the repository's goal, which is to generate or I should say this particular prompt's goal is to create Cosmos DB and configure Entra. So we did that first before the session. And the other thing that we did, which is a huge part, is we used Cedar. Now, what is Cedar? Now, we need a way to actually add data to our database that we're going to be working with. And we're going to also show you some tools today on how to actually access that data right through VS Code. And so let's get started. Sound good? So Saji, we're going to do an app build, and our application is going to be built as intentionally not that prescriptive. So we can see that we're just asking for a very, very basic application. Create a new .NET ASP.NET Core Web API. We're going to have it start on port 5107, and we've just given it some basic ideas on what our API should look like. So I'm just going to copy it, and we're going to drop it into VS Code. Now, before we actually do that, let's take a look at some of the ways we've set up VS Code. We're going to pick what specific model we want. Now, for everyone, you need to kind of have an idea of what your model that you specifically pick for your agent is going to cost you. So, Saji, I know credits are a big thing. Do you know what your average user should really consider when they're picking a model?
Yeah, in terms of, I think in terms of the problem statement that you're trying to solve. So again, with VS Code, you have the ability to define what model suits for your scenario, right? So in this case, let's go ahead with the one that you prefer, I would say, or the default one that you have. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll use GPT-5.6 Sol. It's kind of a frontier model, if you will, very new. It should have a lot of information already about Cosmos DB. But let's go ahead and run this prompt. We want to make sure that we are going to use autopilot. We're going to go YOLO because we don't want to have to constantly approve. We want to do all our things. We're going to be using local. However, you have the ability to run it in the cloud, or you can use the CLI if you'd like to. And so I'm going to go ahead, hit send, and that's going to get our prompt running. And so while it's doing that, let's take a look at some of the tools that we can use alongside this. What do you think, Saji?
Yeah, let's go ahead and see how users could leverage this tool, and especially in this scenario. What is the motive behind this application, Jay? Do you have any intention to scale it across users?
Say again, I'm sorry.
No, in terms of giving an idea of this scenario, the application that you're building, right? So you are going to build a ticketing app, and do you have any common queries that this application would use. I mean, you have put it in the prompt, which you could see. Maybe we can walk through the scenario. So it talks about getting single event by ID, list upcoming events. So in terms of the data modeling, right? So this is what we will be covering when we actually scale the application, like the queries that you see in the prompt. Yeah.
Sure. So for everyone who's watching, if you go ahead and grab the repo, you'll see that there's actually a before and after. Let's take a look at the before. So let's look at the models here that we've got configured. Let me see if there is purchase tickets request. So it's got, where would our queries be? Okay, let's kind of just go through this app in program.cs. I believe this is where our query should be. So let's take a look. Where's the select? Sorry, everyone. Let's take a look here. So like I said, you'll be able to see before and after in examples.
While you're doing that, I can address a question. So there is
Sure.
a question about, do you know what uses less credits, local, cloud, or computer? Yeah, there is no definition as such, but in terms of typically when you use no cloud, right, or the local, yeah, it doesn't consume much credit. So if you're looking for less credits, I would recommend to use local. But you can check the exact billing plan by going to GitHub settings and then billing metered users for your actual consumption. Yeah, for your question, I would say local uses the fewest credits, and then cloud uses the cloud agent session credits, and then Copilot usually consume premium requests. So yeah, I would recommend to go with local if you're looking for less credits.
Got it. All right. So we almost have this ready to go. It's going ahead and you can see it's actually putting everything here in the front. So let's take a look. And what we'll do is ask for what are the most common queries we use in this app. So that's one of the great things that we can do with our agent is we can ask it questions about what we're actually building or what we've already built. And so we're going to make sure that ticketing API specifically, we'll go ahead and we'll point it at program CS, and then we'll use that as context. So what we did was we implemented OpenAPI. And one of the reasons why we did this is that there's some discoverability that's built in to our LoadGen. So we don't actually have to specify specific endpoints for it to go ahead and throw traffic at. It's going to use OpenAPI, and that's going to handle actually telling our, it's going to tell our tester, I should say our load generator, what exactly it's supposed to be working with, what particular endpoints it's supposed to be hitting. All right, so it completed and our app is built. And so let's go ahead and ask it, what are the most common queries we use in this app? And then it's going to go ahead and it's going to trace the repository query definitions. So the workload is intentionally read heavy. And why? Well, let's take a look why. And so let's just go ahead and we'll just create a new file and dump some of this information that we just got. So what we can see, it's a select C, and it's a very, very broad kind of query here. And because of that, it's going to run into things like hot partitions and essentially use too much of the RRU. And when we start doing that, we're going to go ahead and really, really make our costs go way higher. So one of the things that we're going to be doing now is we're going to actually start troubleshooting. Let's first take a look at our actual data. And so Cosmos DB Shell, I know, Sajid, is a really useful tool. I think it's only a few months old, right?
Yeah, we had launched it in public preview at Build. Yeah, it's been used by many customers. And we are improving it on a daily basis. Soon we will be launching this experience on portal as well, so users don't have to install this tool separately. You will be able to access the portal. Yeah.
So when our create Cosmos DB was run, it went ahead and it created a config in our app settings. And within there, it actually created our endpoint. And we need that endpoint to do this connect. So we're going to type connect. And then we're going to put the actual API endpoint within the connect. So let's take a look. And if I'm right, Saji, this is an equal.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So too many arguments. Expected 1 got 2. Let's figure out why.
Or you can directly connect it from the VS Code extension as well. Like if you maybe.
We'll take a look at that too. So we've gone ahead and we've connected to our Cosmos DB. We can use it a little bit like Linux. So we can just do like ls, and we can see the database that we're going to be working with. Now, I said that I've already seeded this database. So let's go ahead and go into that ticketing DB. And then we'll do an ls. And now we'll be able to see the containers. Now, Saji, how would I go ahead and see there are documents in that container?
You can do ls and then even by city. I mean, ls container name. Yeah. So that is.
So I actually see into orders, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then do ls. Yeah.
And so this is going to actually show us all of our data that's in here. And so we can see order 000116. So we can do it that way, or the other way you said was the extension. So if you go into your extensions and you look up Cosmos DB, you're going to see there is a Cosmos DB official Microsoft agent, or not agent, extension. And this extension allows you to browse, manage, and query your Cosmos DB data. You can do that in the shell, but if you want a graphical experience, what we can do is just go here to Azure. And you're going to see it's going to give us all of our different workspaces once the extension fully loads. And just to give you an idea of where we're at, so the query that we work with created this program, the whole application, and gives us the ability to just kind of find the problems. And so there were intentionally problems that were created, and we have this whole idea of a 4-lens prompts that we have in the docs/prompts area. And we're going to try to answer a few questions. And so these questions are fairly simple. We're going to just ask about the app that was created. So let's go ahead and take a look at our data. We can create a new connection, and that connection actually is just what we used in the shell. So we'll go ahead, we'll exit. I can just snag. I thought I could. Let's go back to the actual file. We'll go to app settings. We'll copy the URL endpoint, and then I'll just drop this right here. Believe this is right.
I think you are connecting to a local emulator. You can just view it from the.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to the extension.
Yeah.
And I'll do a new connection, and it's looking for the actual database itself.
Yeah. I mean, Jay, you are trying to connect to the local emulator, right? So it has to be a emulator endpoint.
Oh, I'm not.
This is a layout one.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm trying to connect to the not the emulator. I'm trying to connect to a live Cosmos DB.
So you should view it from the preview, like that you see at the top, because that is only for emulator, as we see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to our subscription. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go to our subscription. We'll go back to Cosmos DB accounts. Should be loading.
Yeah, maybe you can zoom it out a bit, like minimize the below pen.
Yeah. And so this is actually going to do a list of all of them that we have here. So the name of ours is Cosmos Ticket API.
Yeah, we have plenty of accounts there. Like maybe you can use a filter, which you see.
Sure.
That is for subscription, but for account, it's.
Oh, I'm almost there.
Yeah, okay.
Thought I was. Let's see. Yeah, Cosmos Ticket API. All right. So the filtering would be right here.
That is for subscription, the below one. Yeah.
Okay, so let's select our subscription. We're going to use the demo one we were working with.
Yeah, it's. I think you have. Maybe you can unselect the remaining ones and then select only them.
Sure. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. That was taking me a little time. All right. So it should be expanding now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So there we are. Sorry for the little delay, everybody. The point of this is I'm learning as well as you are learning. So you can see when we seeded our database, we have all these particular queries we can actually create based on what we've done and seeded the database with. So let's take a quick look at that. So we can go ahead and create natural language, right, Saji?
Yeah.
So we go under generate query, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Just type on like any prompt that you want to get.
Final active users query they want to generate. Okay, so let's show all orders from the last month.
Yeah.
And so it should be going in here. And if I'm right, it's actually going to work with our local chat, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's going to use the query editor first, and the sample container, only a schema is already established there. So let's go ahead. It's going to use this skill to load the query editor and dialect rules so it actually understands what you're doing and then how to output it.
Yep.
While we're doing this, if you have any questions about how these tools work, or you have comments, or you just want to tell us what you're doing, please let us know. We'd love to have you part of this. So let's go ahead. Let's pick our subscription. You know what, Suji? I think maybe we should get back to this. I think we're using.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So now what we're going to do is we want to actually work to find the problems that are going on with our application. So let's go back here and let's start working with the 4 lenses. So we're going to take a look and make sure our application can actually start. That actually really does help. So let's take a look, and we can see we've got ticketing API. And so let's do .NET run. And so it's a fairly simple application. It's got no front end. Let's go ahead, go back to terminal, and we can see our API is up and running. Let's create a new terminal, and let's just curl. It's returning, so it's at least not 404ing on us or anything like that. We know it's up and running. And so now what we want to do is we want to just generate traffic on this. And to do that, let's go back to our files. We're going to use this LoadGen product, piece of software that I took care of, written, whatever. And LoadGen is going to do exactly what I said. It's going to generate some load, and it's going to give us some information about what exactly we've done. So I've got this easy to use shell script, PowerShell script that you can use. Let's just copy the path.
Jay, there's a question which you can take.
Did I create the repository beforehand and build the app and then fed the prompt to the agent? So no, I didn't do that. What I actually did was I created the repository, yes, and I created the supporting tools. And then essentially it's up to you to use the prompts to create the application. So I basically did prompts 0.1 and 0.2. You can see within the documentation. So there's the create Cosmos Entra. That's going to actually create your actual production quality Cosmos DB instance. It's live, it's not an emulator. And the reason we're using live, like I said earlier, is we actually want to be able to see RU that's utilized. And so the programs are built into the repository, yes, but it's intentional because it's to help you actually work with this and find out if the tools that we're using are actually fixing the problems that we have. Cool. So let's go ahead and let's go to scripts. And you'll see in there, I've gotten you that PowerShell script, and all we have to do is run PowerShell, run LoadGen, and it's actually interactive. So we can just provide some information. There is a way that you can use flags, but I'm just going to use this. So it wants to know the directory that's containing this, and it's just the root, a root of the ticket API. So we're just going to copy that path and just feed that path to LoadGen. And then it's going to ask if we want to just have read only or mix of read and writes, so we can kind of see what our app is going to do based on that. And I'm going to do mixed. Concurrency, so how many are running at the same time. Adaptively increase concurrency until, so this is to throw a lot of traffic at it. And it's going to incrementally increase that concurrency as our app runs and try to generate as much traffic as we can. So we'll say yes, and then our duration in seconds. And this is a great way to be able to create a snapshot. And that's essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a snapshot to see what exactly is going on. And so the request timeout, how long a actual process is going to wait to complete. And if it doesn't, it'll fail. So let's go ahead and start this. It's going to use the default API-based URL, the dashboard refresh. So you're actually going to see it's an interactive dashboard. So random seed, we're not going to worry about that. And so it's going to give us our selected targets and information that you'll use to generate this load, and we'll hit yes. So it's going to create a local development token, and it's going to start generating that load. And so you can see we're moving along. It's getting started. It's sending off all of our different queries and writes. And now we can start seeing the utilization and the RUs that are being used. I don't know why RU query. There we are. Cool. I don't know why it's not adding up to RU. But yeah, it's going to start looking at how many RUs are actually utilized. And so if we control C it, it'll start draining all these in-flight requests. And then from there, we're actually going to be able to see how much was used. And so we want to say, you know, for the sake of things, let's go ahead and take a look at an example. And so we'll go to examples, we'll go to book 4. And you'll see that this was the demo one that I had built before. So LoadGen creates logs. And so you can see all the logs are timestamped. We can take a look at the logs here, and you can see that it creates this kind of output. So we're able to see how many RUs per query were used, when the total RU were. Like I said, I'm not really sure why it's not showing it in here. That's really weird. It was working. But hey, you do a demo, you do it live. But let's actually start working on doing the corrections to our app using our prompts for the 4 lenses. So now I don't want it to make any changes. I just want to ask it some questions. And so I always do it in ask mode. So will this data model hold up at scale? Now, this is for the first lens that we're checking for, the data model and partition key. And so what it's going to happen is the app, the chat, with the agent, I should say, is going to go ahead and assess the physical partitioning and indexes against the measured RU latencies. We're going to find out. I don't know why it did not pick up the total RU used. And so, Sujit, I think the best thing I can do is probably bring up the portal, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
Cool.
Or you can use the shell as well, like maybe.
Okay, let's do that. So within the shell, I can find utilized RU. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start the shell then. All right, we'll connect to the endpoint. Okay, so Sujit, why don't you walk me through how exactly I would look at total utilized RU for a specific query or what we've built?
Yeah, you can go through the settings. So can you execute the help command? Maybe that would help the audience as well. So we have different commands that would help you to understand the settings, right? So if you look at the container at the top, so yeah.
Okay.
So we are going to see the total RUs consumed for the container. Is that the requirement in your case, or?
So what we're going to do is go to a specific container is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And once I've done that, is there a specific command that I should be running?
Yeah, you can see the number of RUs consumed, right? And the response, or it isn't.
In these?
Yeah. No, I mean, right now you're retrieving 100 items, but for whatever the query that you have in the app, right, you can put that query here and then show the RUs consumed.
Got it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and see what are the problems are. So it went ahead and assessed everything, and the first signal. So this is just the information that we got back without any context, and that's fine. That's fine. But we want to add context to this, and to do so, we're going to go ahead. We're going to use the Azure Cosmos DB agent kit. So what is that, Sujit?
Yeah, agent kit for Cosmos DB consists of a set of capabilities which lets your agent to act as a Cosmos DB expert, right? So we have put years of experience as skill for that agent to get that as input and act as expert. So it consists of different topics that we talked about, starting from data modeling, partition key design, and index optimization, query optimization, SDK best practices. So if you're new to Cosmos DB, if you're building new application for the first time, we would highly recommend to have Agent Kit installed within VS Code, or you can install the Azure Cosmos DB VS Code extension so that you would get by default. But Jay would show how to install as a fresh user if you don't have the extension installed. It is just a single command, npx skills add Cosmos DB agent kit. It will clone the repo with a set of skills that agent would take as input and then help with whatever the queries that you write.
So
I think, yeah.
We've got these universal availabilities for the different types of agents that we have available for us. We already have VS Code selected, and that's what we're going to be installing it on. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. You have the ability to you scope it to just this project, or you can do it globally across your entire VS Code environments. So all your workspaces will have access to this skill. We'll go ahead and we'll do global. And then we can actually symlink it so we have a single source of truth. Let's do that. And so it is going to go ahead and add all these. So we'll just say yes. And so it installs the skills. And I like to make sure that my skills are actually working. So let's go ahead and say, I'm going to create a new chat, because a lot of times I have noticed that creating a new chat kind of ensures that skills were loaded. So let's say, are the Cosmos DB skills available? So the reason I'm asking that is I want to make sure within context our actual agent knows. So yep, it says that we have all those skills part of our agent, and it's part and parcel of what we actually want to accomplish today. So let's try re-asking that question. So I'm going to set my default permissions to autopilot. Let's verify that we're using the same model. Yep. And let's drop this. Will the model hold up at scale? So now asking that question, let's see. And now we're going to have an expert, our agent, which now has the context tools. Everybody in the chat, can you let us know if you've tried this yet? We'd really like to know. We'd like to get some feedback. We'd like to know what you've experienced so far and whether or not you think it is helpful for you. I mean, that's important to know. So it's going to go ahead. The central issue is already visible. Both containers partition on /ID, while every list query filters on other fields. So, Siji, if I'm right, by using that /ID, it's not going to be the most efficient. It's going to be not necessarily
right.
unique.
ID always has high cardinality, and it distributes the write well, but it makes cross-partition queries because you're always going to use ID as a parameter, right? In general, like if I have to summarize, a good partition key distributes both data volume as well as request volume while matching the most important access path. So in this case, there are ways to optimize. I think the agent kit recommends some options that you can see in the chat, right? So it recommends event ID, which is good choice. Then using ID as a hierarchical partition key, which makes sense, so that you don't get into logical partition key limitation that we have, like 20 GB. And then it recommends some customer ID for query operations when you're using like live data feed using change feed. Those recommendations are really useful when you are starting to build application. And even if you have built like what Jay was explaining, right? If you have already done it, use agent kit to do the analysis, whether you have done the partition key choice right. And probably this would be the right time to, optimize what you had built.
Yep. All right. Why don't we move on to Lens 2? So we've asked it the Lens 1 question. So I can go ahead and show you. If you go to Docs and you go to Prompts, you go to the 4 Lens prompts, you'll see for each thing that we want to actually get answers to, I've got a prompt for you to ask. So next, so far it's told us that this is great for a demo, but this is not going to be ready for production at high scale. So what we'll do is we'll now X the other question is, will the data model hold up at scale? Or excuse me, will the queries, why are the queries in, talking about RU efficiency, pardon me, why are these queries so expensive? And so they'll try to tie the RUs and the partition and query shapes and find out why the hot event query is dramatically worse than the customer query.
Yeah, in general, a query without a partition key always fans out, right? So to the point that Jay was mentioning earlier, select star. If you are using that anywhere, you need to make sure that you need to get rid of that, because it will fan out across all partition, and you will see high cost RUs. And always have this practice about using the capture or request charge and enable diagnostics to see how much RUs are consumed. So based on that, you can always optimize, and you can always compare the same operation before using agent kit or after using agent kit, using the same data set and page size. I think that's what Jay is trying to show us.
Okay, so now we've asked that question, and now we have a little bit more background on why our queries are so expensive. You can see the cost per RU. Those hot event orders, that's not great. That's going to long term end up costing you tons and tons of money. So why don't we ask it the next question? What is our indexing policy costing us? So if I'm right, Siji, we have a very weak indexing policy so far.
Yeah. Again, as I mentioned, Cosmos DB indexes every property. So in the data model that Jay showed, right? So there are ways that you could optimize your index. So we have features on Azure portal where you can see the suggestions that we are recommending through the indexing advisor. Also on VS Code, like if you open particular container, you can see the index being utilized, and there are recommendations based on the access patterns, like which index you need to configure. And again, Agentic is another way that you can use to go through the queries that you have done. Especially in this case, if you're using order by for listing events or listing user or get tickets by event ID, right? So you could use composite index. So when you're trying to do order by, you have to use composite indexes. I think there are recommendations that you can follow as Jay is showing. So
So
indexing policy should describe the application query contract, not the entire JSON document. So always try to see the access pattern and try to optimize the indexes. Yeah.
So the print command to show what our existing indexes are, do I give the actual container, or is it at the actual database level?
Yeah, print is basically to show the actual data, right? So I wouldn't say print will not show in this case, but you can use the VS Code extension. I mean, um, if you execute a query and then if you see the, um, just open query editor.
Sure. Sorry. Let me go ahead and
Yeah.
make this a little bit more visible for everyone.
Yeah. Just
So we're in the
just use yeah.
So let's
Any
grab
query that any query
let's
that
grab one of those
application.
previous queries that we were working with.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that was in my previous chat.
Maybe you can ask agent to like show what query. Okay, it is there.
Let's try this.
So if you run and come to the stats, okay, it says, you can see like at the bottom, scroll it down, you can see the RUs and then the index.
Okay. All right. So why don't we move into asking our next question to our agent about the next part of the lens, which is SDK and maintainability. So is this ready for production? I think we've already answered those questions, but let's make sure the agent will do a look over, and it's probably going to also look at our deployment methodology. Creating our resources that we're going to need. That would be part of where it's looking from end to end. Now, we want it to repair everything, but the one thing that I really don't want it to do is I don't want it to focus too much on the infrastructure part of this because we're in a demo mode right here, and I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time troubleshooting how to use Bicep or something like that. It will give best practices on actual database container creation, all those things. So if you kind of explain to it, like, I need this, this, and this, your agent, if it has, say, the Azure MCP server or the Azure skills installed, it'll have a little bit more information and context on how to create those things. So right now it is finding a little bit more about our app, and you can see that it's actually talking about things like there's no editor diagnostics, there's no API tests, there's no CI/CD. This is all going to production on Azure related things. So we do want it to fix what we're working with. So let's go ahead and do copy, and let's drop this in here. And so we're going to tell it to fix everything. And what it should do is use the best practices out of the Azure skills. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, I want to try again, Saji, the LoadGen. And I'm going to use actually the pre-created version that I had, just because we can do this a little quicker. Because this is going to take a while. We'll take a look at it after, but we'll make sure that it starts. So I need to kill the existing version of this app that I have running. And so I have another version of it in the example section that we talked about that you all can use. And I will go into the before, which was what we built first. You'll see we've got ticketing API. Let's go in there and let's do a .NET run. That'll start the application. And so this particular version of the app, like I said, it's ready to go for you, is here in ticketing API in the before section in examples. So I'm going to snag the path to this, and we can see that the app is started from the before version. And we've got our scripts directory here where our run LoadGen is. So let's run LoadGen. And so this should be our before. We'll do mixed concurrency 30. We won't even bother with the adaptive. Duration in seconds, let's just do 30. And request timeout 120, the base API, correct. Refresh interval, random seed, okay, yes. All right, should be starting now. Okay, there we go. Now we're actually able to count RU. And we can see it's going to run this for 30 seconds. And this is running load against the before. That was the one that wasn't built with best practices, that didn't use the agent kit. And you can see like on our upcoming query right here, we're using 210 RU. So right now what's happening is LoadGen is actually creating you a snapshot. It's putting in the log. And we're going to be able to see what things were like in the before version of this application. So this is going to take a second, and we'll see right here the total used RU for our before, the app that we built with zero context. You can see it's at 55,133. That's a lot for only 30 seconds. Wouldn't you say so, Sajid?
Yep.
Do you have like an average on what something like that would cost?
Yeah, it depends on the document size. Yeah, probably we need to go through the document size that you had. It would be if it's around 2 KB, and if you're doing a point reads, yeah, it should be somewhere around 400 queries. Yeah, it would cost around 10 to 20 RUs. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and shut down the before version, and let's take a look at the after. So the after is actually what's going on the right side. And so we're going to back up, and we're going to go into after. So after went through, and I should say the agent kit went through just like it did. It found all those problems. It used the ideas that we gave it for the 4 lenses and went ahead and actually improved the application. So why don't we take a look now that we're going to do a .NET run. You know, I always forget in Windows that you should press the forward arrow as opposed to hit tab. Tab is kind of like the Linux way of doing it, and I always get mixed up doing that. I'm so used to Bash instead of PowerShell. If you're watching, let us know what's your favorite shell to work with. Like I said, I really like Bash, always have used it. Okay, so now our app is running. So why don't we go back to LoadGen? All right, so we'll run LoadGen. And so this time it wants to know directory, and we're got after and examples. And so we're just going to grab the path here. So where was it? Copy path. There we are. And we're going to just drop that there. Tell it where the API for after is. We're going to do the same thing. We'll do mixed. We'll do concurrency of 30. We're going to still say no. We're going to do our duration in seconds of 30. Request timeout. So we're going to do all the same things, basically. We're going to use the same exact conditions that we did the first time. And we saw how large of a RU count we had. and it said here just 44 seconds. I believe some of that was to go ahead and warm up. So you can see there's a huge difference so far. Utilization by RU has greatly dropped within the 30 seconds. And the query that was really killing us was the upcoming query. If we saw it before, that was costing us something like 1,000 RU per actual query. And that's not going to work. So now it's finished, and it's gone ahead and created us a snapshot here. And you can see the big difference. We used what, nearly... So this was 55,000, and now we're down to 31,000. So we drop what, like 24,000 RU. The cost savings there are going to be tremendous. The efficiency of applications, your application, all of that. It's going to be a major improvement. I'm sorry we couldn't do it live, but these builds, our agent's going to spend a lot of time making sure our application works correctly, that all these queries that we have are modified to be a little bit more efficient, and that our RUs end up a more reasonable number. So, Saji, why don't we wrap everything up? What do you say?
Yep. Yeah, just closing takeaways. Right, I think so we talked about partition key choice or data modeling, and then we talked about measure RU charge instead of guessing, and then treat indexes as maintained using the query contract instead of understanding the whole document. And also we talked about design aspect of using the right SDK using best practices. And yeah, when you have Agentic, everything comes handy, and you're able to optimize the application and reduce the cost.
So you can find the agent kit at this URL. We put it in the chat also. You'll be able to find it in the repo if you saw it before. If not, we've got it a very easy URL for you to get to, aka.ms/ticket-API. It'll take you right to that repository. And maybe you'll have better luck building the app the first time using just the prompts. I had a little bit of an issue, but you can see that our before and after, we saw the clear benefits of using the agent kit. And then obviously we talked a little bit about the Azure Cosmos DB shell that I need to learn more about. That's what I took a lot from this session. I've used it before, but not really super in depth. And now I know I need to kind of get a better handle on that. And so finally, Saji, we built an application. We optimized it using the agent kit, and we're going to be able to have a much more scalable and cost-efficient application. So
yeah,
cool.
So I would highly recommend to use Agent Kit if you're building applications with Cosmos DB, or if you're starting with Cosmos DB, to make sure that you're following the right practices from the start. And yeah, use those tools. As Jay mentioned, Shell is one of the important tools when you're working with agents, as well as the VS Code extension. And Shell has the MCP capability enabled, so you can write in natural language and get those answers then and there.
You can see here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next session. Yeah,
so let's talk about our next session. All right.
Yep.
So I've got us a little something here. First, I want to put on a little daydreaming as we start closing out. So we've got another one coming up next month. It's on September 17th, 2016. It's going to be building APIs faster with agentic development in Azure Cosmos DB. So I think next time, rather than this very, very simple API, we're going to build maybe a number of APIs that are going to be behind in the application that we're going to be using. And so we can build something bare bones and then say we want to add additional APIs to do X, Y, and Z. So we're going to do that next month. We're going to continue to do these every month. We love that you participate, you ask questions. Everybody that's currently watching on Reactor, I think there's like over 50 of you. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this. We really enjoy doing this for you. And also, thank you for dealing with the little hiccups. When you do a demo live, sometimes it's very live.
Especially with agents, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. So Saji, anything cool that we can look forward to with the Agent Kit? I know that people can contribute to it via open source.
Yeah, and also we have introduced the plugins for multiple coding agents. So recently, Kimi launched their coding agent, so you can use it with Kimi. It is available in the marketplace, and we also published a codex. So you can, if you're using codex, feel free to use the Agent Kit. Yeah, 8 coding agents, and if you have any feedback, please feel free to provide a feedback on the issues, and also use the discussions tab on the Agent Kit. Yeah, we are looking forward to improve the Agent Kit on a daily basis. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll meet up again soon.
We'll see you next month. Thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your week and month, and we'll see you next month. Take care, everybody.